Hello, everyone. Welcome to Living Wisdom and Dharma World. Today, let's explore a teaching that sits right at the heart of the Buddha's realization, the middle way. This isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It's a living wisdom that we can apply in everything we do. In our Dharma practice, in how we manage our work and careers, in how we relate to people, and even in how we take care of our bodies and minds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to inspire others on their path of discovery. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your reflections may spark meaningful conversations and mutual growth. Together, let's start our exploration. So, let's start at the very beginning with the Buddha himself. The Buddha's own journey, discovering the middle way. After leaving the palace and his life of luxury, Prince Siddhartha tried the path of extreme austerity. For nearly 6 years, he practiced the harshest forms of asceticism. He barely ate. He pushed his body to the brink, thinking this was the way to conquer suffering and attain liberation. But what happened? His body grew so frail he could barely stand. His mind, instead of becoming clearer, became weaker. One day, after fainting by the riverside, he realized, this is not the way. Neither indulgence in pleasure nor tormenting the body leads to awakening. And at that moment, he recalled a memory from his youth, sitting peacefully under a rose apple tree, mind calm, heart serene. He realized balance was the key. This led him to what we now call the middle way. He later taught in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, there are two extremes that ought not to be practiced: the pursuit of sensual happiness in sensual pleasures, and the pursuit of self-mortification. Avoiding both these extremes, the Tathagata has awakened to the middle way. So, what exactly is this middle way, and how do we live it? The middle way as a guiding principle. The middle way isn't about being lukewarm or indecisive. It's not just somewhere in between. It's about dynamic balance, the wisdom of knowing when to apply effort and when to relax, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to be ambitious and when to be content. In practice, this means we don't cling to either extreme of self-indulgence or self-denial. Instead, we observe, we adjust, and we walk the path that leads to clarity, peace, and freedom. The Buddha formulated this path clearly as the Noble Eightfold Path, which itself is the middle way. It includes right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Notice that all of these use the word right, which implies sam, a word that implies balance, harmony, appropriateness. So, the entire path is about finding what's appropriate and skillful, rather than swinging to extremes. Balance in Dharma practice. Let's bring this into daily practice. One common place where people struggle is with their spiritual practice. Some people become overly strict, forcing themselves to meditate for hours when the body is tired, or judging themselves harshly if they miss a day. Others go to the opposite extreme. They're too busy and think, I'll practice when life calms down. Both extremes lead to frustration. The Buddha understood this well. He used the example of a stringed instrument. Just as a lute string that is too tight will snap, and one that is too loose won't play, so too, right effort lies in tuning the mind, neither too tight nor too loose. Isn't that beautiful? So if you're feeling overwhelmed by practice, step back, find a more sustainable rhythm. And if you find you're avoiding practice, gently reintroduce it. Start small. Even 5 minutes of wholehearted presence can be powerful. Balance in work and career. Now, let's talk about how the middle way applies to our work and careers. In today's world, it's easy to swing to either end. Some of us overwork ourselves in the name of success, ambition, or stability. We burn out, we disconnect from loved ones, and we lose our joy. Others may become so disillusioned with the rat race that they drop out completely, but without direction or purpose, that can lead to stagnation. The Buddha taught right livelihood, a life supported by honest, ethical, and compassionate work. But this also means right balance in how we engage with our work. We can be diligent without being driven by greed. We can be responsible without sacrificing our inner peace. Let me share a simple example. Imagine someone working in a demanding job. If they practice the middle way, they will engage with their tasks wholeheartedly, but they'll also know when to rest, when to say no, and when to step outside and breathe the air. Their identity isn't trapped in the job. They see work as part of life, not all of it. This brings freedom. Balance in relationships and emotions. Balance also extends to our emotional life. Sometimes we try to suppress our emotions, thinking we need to be spiritual and always calm. Other times, we indulge our emotions, letting anger or anxiety control our actions. The middle way teaches us to acknowledge our emotions without being ruled by them. In meditation, for example, we're not pushing thoughts away or getting lost in them. We're just observing. In relationships, this might look like listening with empathy, but also having clear boundaries, or being honest without being harsh. The Buddha once said in Dhammapada, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." So, the middle way teaches. Feel the emotion, learn from it, and let it go. Balance in daily living. The art of enough. We live in a culture that thrives on excess. More is better. Bigger is success. But the Buddha constantly taught contentment in Dhammapada. Contentment is the highest wealth. Living the middle way means practicing the art of enough. Enough food to nourish, not to stuff. Enough possessions to live simply, not to accumulate endlessly. Enough achievement to feel fulfilled, not to constantly chase validation. This doesn't mean we don't strive or grow. It just means our striving is grounded in wisdom, not craving. A modern example. Living the middle way today. Let's imagine someone on a personal growth journey. They wake up early, meditate, go to work, take care of family, study Dharma, and try to eat healthy. But there's a tendency creeping in. They're pushing themselves too hard. Always striving, always fixing, never resting. Eventually, they feel exhausted and disconnected. A middle way approach would be to pause, to remember. Even the Buddha rested. Even the most devoted practitioners laughed, took walks, and lived simply. Sometimes wisdom says, work harder. Sometimes wisdom says, go take a nap. Can you feel the difference? It's not about rules, it's about listening deeply. The middle way, Nagarjuna's philosophy. In fact, if we go deeper, the middle way also refers to Nagarjuna's philosophy, which is one of the most profound teachings in Mahayana Buddhism. At its core, it revolves around the concept of emptiness, which is an extension of the Buddha's teaching on dependent origination. Nagarjuna argues that all phenomena are devoid of intrinsic existence and arise only in dependence on causes, conditions, and relationships. This view avoids the extremes of eternalism, the belief in a permanent, unchanging essence, and nihilism, the belief that nothing exists or matters. For Nagarjuna, Emptiness does not imply that things do not exist at all. Instead, it highlights their lack of inherent, independent existence. This is demonstrated in his seminal text, The Fundamental Verses on the Middle Way, where he writes that whatever arises dependently, that is explained as empty. That, being a dependent designation, is itself the middle way. In this framework, all phenomena, including the self and the world, are empty of self-nature, yet arise in dependence on other phenomena. Nagarjuna's philosophy is not purely theoretical, but has profound practical implications. By understanding the emptiness of all things, individuals are liberated from attachment and aversion, which are rooted in misconceptions about reality. This realization leads to ultimate freedom from suffering and a deeper understanding of the nature of existence. Conclusion: as we've seen today, the middle way isn't a compromise, it's a living, breathing path of wisdom. It teaches us to walk with clarity between extremes, to cultivate balance in our hearts, our minds, and our daily lives. From the Buddha's own awakening to Nagarjuna's deep insights into emptiness, the middle way invites us to live with awareness, not clinging, not rejecting, but responding wisely to the world as it is. Whether it's in your meditation practice, your work, your relationships, or your view of reality, may you return again and again to this middle path, not as a rigid formula, but as a gentle compass, guiding you toward peace, resilience, and liberation. Thank you for joining us on this journey through living wisdom and Dharma world. If this teaching has touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's continue the conversation in the comments. How do you find balance in your own life? What does the middle way mean to you? Until next time, walk gently, live mindfully, and stay rooted in Dharma.